Hey, viewers and viewers, my name is General Red Strategist, and welcome back to A Say Being Hunted. Did I sound a bit weird then as I said that? I was like, my name is General Red Strategist. Sometimes feels like I make the intros really, really weird at times, or I just put on weird voices, that kind of thing. Who knows? Alright, what episode number are we up to now? Something like 697. Episode 700 is closing in faster and faster. So if you want to get some Q&A questions in for that, you know, time is ticking away, so please do make sure that you let me know. Either go to the community tab, to the post that's all about it, and post your questions there, put them in the comments of this video. I'll have to actually set a proper deadline, though, for when when you need to have basically actually got your questions in by, if you are going to submit any and all that. Otherwise, I don't want you getting sort of too close to the point where, you know, hopefully me, Phil and Connor are able to get together and record the episode and all that. I'll post a deadline at some point on the channel, so just keep your eyes peeled, basically, ladies and gentlemen, and all that. But in the meantime, we're back for another podcast-style episode and all that. So, have I mentioned in one of the previous episodes? I think I have. I probably have, and I've probably just forgotten that I've already mentioned it. I mentioned a channel that I've been getting videos recommended to me from recently, Adam Something, who tends to deconstruct a lot of crazy tech bro engineering proposals and shows why they're absolutely ridiculous, things like that. But YouTube recommended me another of his videos recently, and it really suddenly jogged my memory. Does anyone remember that strange straddling bus concept that was apparently being developed in China a few years back? Does anyone remember that? Does anyone know what I'm talking about? Those of you who know, those of you who know will immediately, you know, recognise what I'm talking about, even if you haven't thought about it for a while, hopefully at least. But for those who don't know, apparently quite a number of, I say quite a number of, a few years ago, I seem to remember this being when I was probably in university, so I would have been in my 20s, possibly early 20s, so it could actually well be about nearly 10 years ago, actually, this. But there was this engineering project proposal, apparently in China, that was supposed to be this big infrastructural innovation. And the idea was, it was going to be sort of, they call it, it's often referred to as the straddling bus. What it basically is it's like a massive vehicle that's essentially like a monster of a bus, except the actual passenger compartment is sort of elevated, and its wheels, or whatever, are on these kind of sort of struts along the sides. And the idea is that these kind of follow a set of rails along the side of a road, meaning that effectively this bus machine thing kind of straddles the road, and car traffic can sort of basically drive underneath it as it's moving along. So it's a really weird design, and wacky design as well. You know, the best thing to do actually really is go on Google Images and search for it if you don't kind of get what I mean through that description, what I'm trying to convey. So if you look at images of it on Google Images, you'll understand what I'm trying to say, basically. And I always remember when this thing was being floated as an idea back in the day, years and years ago, whenever it was. You know, it was being sort of touted as this, you know, this big infrastructural innovation. It's going to change public transport and all this, you know. Whereas a lot of, inventors always like to do, make out that their invention is going to be the next best thing since sliced bread or whatever. And I remember thinking, okay, it has very sleek lines, it looks sort of cool. But I always remember when I was younger kind of thinking, despite how sort of futuristic it looks, I always had sort of questions in the back of my head about the feasibility of it, because I was like, you know, looking at the design of this, the actual elevator compartment in it where all the passengers go is, you know, it's high up enough for cars to pass underneath the vehicle as it's moving along. But what about vans or trucks or other buses, regular buses? Because clearly that's not high enough. And it's funny because then, I remember seeing that, and then suddenly all news on it just seemed to disappear. And I don't remember seeing anything else of it, and so for a number of years I basically forgot that that project was ever a thing, because apparently the the business or whatever in China that proposed it did actually build a prototype of this, but it never actually ran, apparently. So it was funny when YouTube recommended this Adam Something video to me recently, talking all about it, because I was like, oh yeah, I vaguely remember seeing stuff about that on social media way back when I had a freaking Facebook page, a personal Facebook that is, and I was like, yeah, what happened to that project? And, surprise, surprise, as the Adam Something video actually tells you, project basically didn't go anywhere because it's a kind of stupid idea, really, when you think about it. Like a lot of tech bro engineering projects, it was basically an over-engineered, overthought solution that has no real grounding in reality. Because in essence, you think about it, if you're going to have a bus machine like that straddles a road and moves along it, the amount of infrastructural adjustments you would need to make to existing roadways and transport infrastructure in order to accommodate that would be insane. Because the thing is, roads right throughout, even throughout, a single country, like such as China, where this invention was being developed, roads are going to be of completely varying widths depending on where you are. So you're going to need to standardise all the road widths. You're also going to need to lay down sort of like the track or rails, whatever this machine needs, on either side of the roadways so that it can run. It's also a massive fucking machine, so you then have to solve the engineering dilemma of how does it turn corners. Because the thing is, like, in all the sort of 3D renders videos that were produced, artistic 3D videos that were produced of it, this thing just sort of like bends really easily, like rubber, around corners. But of course you think, how's it going to do that in real life? This machine is fucking massive. Whereas, where's all the rubber connectors that it will need to do that? Where are they going to go? How much space are they going to use up? On top of that, of course, obviously, it's a fairly big machine. The passenger compartment is elevated, and pretty much in every sort of promotional material for it, it was depicted as being incredibly spacious on the inside. Which makes you think, okay, given how big this thing is, what does that mean for low-hanging bits of infrastructure along the road route, like bridges, traffic lights, that kind of thing? You're going to have to completely rework all those, potentially, so that, they're high enough for this thing to slip under them. And then it's all just, as the Adam Something video raises, all just questions in terms of, if there's an emergency on the machine and the passengers need to evacuate, where do they go? How do they exit the vehicle? Because apparently, the way the inventors saw it, in terms of how that would work, is there'd be sort of like a weird sort of big elevator thing in the middle of it that would basically be the way that people get in and out of it, which is fine if it's only moving a few passengers. But what about at rush hour, when every man and his dog has turned out into town trying to get to work, and you've got hundreds, if not thousands, of people over the course of a couple of hours trying to board it and get around to where they need to be? An elevator system like that probably is not ideal. You want staircases and escalators, or setups very similar to those at least. So it was a fascinating little video, that, just as a weird reminder of an engineering project that apparently was a thing at one time, and I remember it from fucking years and years ago, only then it sort of vanished off the radar, and I just sort of forgot that was ever a thing that apparently existed. But no, I was actually reading the comments as well on that video, and someone actually did say that apparently some of the engineers in China who had proposed this thing and had drummed up investment for it, apparently some of them were jailed because they basically took a load of the money and tried to run. Which makes you think, was it all just a scam thing to try and get investor money and then say, deliver some piddling little thing that doesn't actually meet the brief of what you originally advertised, and then just take what remains of the money and go? Who knows? But, I wouldn't be surprised if that was true in essence. Very, very weird. Right, if we go back to the centre island, let's just deposit these device pieces and see if we can get more fucking food, because I've got a distinct lack of food right now. Let me just eat my haggis. Yeah, they said haggis even. No, I'm trying to think like what other crazy engineering projects have I sort of seen being proposed in slick, silly 3D, graphics and videos on the internet, which when you stop and think about them, you just think, there is no way that would work in reality, is there? And there is one actually that I can remember, and now this one I feel like again this is one I saw years and years ago, back in the day, being sort of proposed on social media, but I don't remember it as well. And I'd be interested to know if any of you guys watching this actually remember this one. Does anyone remember seeing videos back in the day from a guy who proposed revolutionising quote-unquote airports by giving them circular runways? Sort of like weird ring-shaped runways. So it's like a big single circular runway, obviously with it sort of on an incline as it goes around. And the idea being that it would save a lot of space, because obviously airports, are huge places, obviously, because they need it, because they need, long straight runways for aircraft to take off and land on. And obviously if they're going to handle a high volume of air traffic, then ideally they need, at least 2 runways, if not more. So I need someone to basically just comment and tell me I'm not hallucinating this. Was there at one time, or was there not, a proposal by some random fucking tech bro entrepreneur who had this ridiculous idea of making circular runways at airports? I am telling you, I'm sure there was. I feel like I remember it, and I feel like I remember seeing lots of comments from people saying this will never fucking work, because it just magnifies the amount of danger for a pilot trying to land the aircraft tenfold. I'm sure I remember like people commenting saying I'm a pilot and this is a bad idea, because in essence it friggin' traps, watch out for them. It magnifies the danger because a pilot now is not only having to land on a circular runway, he also, because it's on sort of like an incline at a bit of an angle, because obviously it's a ring, he then has to land the plane on that at an awkward angle. Things like this. And obviously you have to like steer it around as you're landing or taking off. Yeah, was that another project that never made it? Because I don't think that I've ever heard of a single airport ever having a circular runway. Certainly not in the last few years. That's got to be another one. I feel like I remember that. And it's a bad idea, basically. It's an idea from somebody who is very imaginative, but who is kind of divorced from reality, and probably has no real experience of actually thinking or working in a kind of, aviation engineering environment or whatever. Or at least in sort of like an airport design role, that kind of thing. Much in the same way that people who propose things like straddling buses probably are not actually great experts of things like urban planning and whatever else have you. Someone please has to clarify, confirm for me in the comments. Am I going mad? Am I hallucinating that thing about the circular airport runway proposal? Or did it actually happen? As in, someone actually did propose it. And where, if it did, what ultimately happened to that project? It must never have come to fruition, right? Because I feel like you would have heard more about it if it did. I'll have to Google afterwards and see if it's actually true. Probably was. I am telling you, I'm certain I remember it from years and years ago. I just don't remember who the friggin' person who proposed it was, or what the name of their enterprise or business was, or, organisation or whatever. Could very well be another of those sort of like silly schemes where a bunch of money-hungry tech bros just set up a company with this amazing, seemingly innovative idea, but have no actual intention of really delivering on it. Instead, it's all just about getting a load of cash. Right, I'm going to go over to a jetty and save the game and then probably wrap up. And go over a decent amount of time there. And I think that'll do for a podcast style episode, ladies and gents. Just needed something to fill time, all that, on the channel. Especially as we are closing on episode 700. So, once again, if you want to get involved in that, do start leaving comments with your questions in them, either here, on this video, or on the post on the community tab for the channel. And get them in soon, because it's, you know, given there's only a couple more episodes now before we get to episode 700, it is probably likely that the deadline for submitting questions will probably be looming fairly soon and all that. Alright, in the meantime, social media links, propagandist channel link, etc, etc, are all down the video description for anyone interested. If you enjoyed, a like is of course always appreciated. But other than that, I'm going to sign off now. Goodbye everybody. Alright, we know what we need to do. What if I could do a special jump? Oh, actually, no. We don't want to jump down with that waterfall, otherwise we might be messing ourselves up. Open the door, please. Ah, I'm in. Can I do anything with these? I guess not. Waiter, gonna move on. They all look the same, don't they? But sure. Safety first, press E to use doorknobs. Kind of already figured that out, but okay. What's the deal in here then? Spacebar to jump? Oh. It's like a parkour challenge here. There's something back here, isn't there? What's this suitcase? Hello? Can I... Deliver this drink to the man with red hair. Okay, we can do that. Ah,